Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another segment of Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's tech guest, but first, we want to give a shout out to our partners, the Global Community of Women in High School Sports, We Coach, the Florida Coaches Coalition, and Vital Signs Wall of Fame. You've heard me say many times, these are four great organizations. You should really add them to your network. And now, don't hit that fast forward button. Stay with us for the next 3 minutes as we give our sponsors a shout out. These are all companies that I used as an athletic director or as a coach. You should be using them too. Here we go. We want to say thanks to our friends at Gipper for their support. Gipper is the official social media graphics solution for the podcast. And if you go to Gipper.com, their team is going to show you how to start creating world-class content for your school's social media channel. Celebrate your teams, promote your athletes. Gipper's used by over 3,000 athletic departments across the country, and it's so easy, even I can do it. Go to Gipper.com to get started. We also want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Hometown Ticketing is digital ticketing that offers more support, more security, and more customization. Go to hometownticketing.com to get started. That's hometownticketing.com. We also want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to their website and check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's a great way to showcase your school record boards, your school's Hall of Fame, or simply tell your school's diverse history and your proudest moments. Mention the podcast, you'll get a nice discount. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided that allowed them to coach our kids up to their highest level. At Huddle, we believe in sports and teams believe in Huddle. Join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to thank our friends at Snap Mobile. Go to snapraise.com. That's the website, SnapRaise, and check out their entire suite of platforms designed to help you save hours and hours as an AD. Of course, there's SnapRaise, the #1 fundraising platform, but you've got Snap Store, Snap Manage, and a whole lot more. You'll find it all at snapraise.com. That's snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com, schedule a live web demo, and see their tables and their boards in action. It's probably one of the best purchases I ever made. That's sidelineinteractive.com. Check out those products today. We also want to thank Home Campus. Home Campus is the exclusive high school and state association platform for the podcast. It's also your one-stop for things like scheduling, student-athlete eligibility and clearance, and a whole lot more. As an athletic director, I used Home Campus every single day, and it was just fantastic. You're going to like it too. To get started, all you have to do is go to homecampus.com. That's homecampus.com. And we want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that'll let you take the pulse of your parents and your student athletes. Athletic directors already hear back from the complainers, but Athletic Surveys allows you to hear back from the 95% of the parents and the students that love and support your program. And that's a tremendously valuable tool to have when you're talking with a frustrated parent or your principal or your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com to get started. That's athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everyone, to another segment of Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. We've got a really cool tech guest today, and we're going, let's say, a little bit academic, but very practical application. If you've listened to this podcast at all, you know I'm all about the application. Our guest today is Dr. Troy Urdahl. He is a certified master athletic administrator. He's the director of athletics at want to get this right, St. Anthony Village High School in Minnesota. Also teaches at the college level. He teaches LTI courses, tremendous record as a coach, state championships, Hall of Fame. And he's also a very successful author. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The name of his book is Chasing Influence, Transformational Coaching to Build Champions for Life. Oh, by the way, he also works with Inside Out Coaching. Dr. Troy Urdahl, welcome to Tech Tuesday.
Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to the conversation, and again, really honored and privileged to be your guest.
Oh my goodness, we are honored that you would come on. We connected, through a mutual friend, a professional in the industry, but we don't want to talk about him. We want to talk about you. Again, you're a working AD or CMAA, very active at the state and national level, so our listeners can certainly relate to that. Before we dive into the book, what was kind of the motivation? What had you sit down and say, hey, I'm going to put this stuff in a book?
Well, and I think it does relate to the book. A story I tell in the book is that Pablo Picasso was in the market, and a woman came up to him and asked him to make a quick drawing for him. And so he did and handed it to her and said, that'll be $10,000. And she was flabbergasted and said, it took you a minute. And he said, my dear madam, it's taken me decades to do this piece of work or to do this art. And I think that really was the case with the book without me even knowing it. It was over the course of the last couple of decades as a head baseball coach and then as an AD for the last 18 plus years, I've been writing a book without knowing it. And the motivation came when I ended up in quarantine in Mexico with COVID. And so seized the moment and said, all right, here's the time, and spent the next couple of years writing what I'm happy to be talking about today.
You and I talked a little bit before we came on, and, again, this is me talking. A lot of people will, I think, focus on the why. What's your why? And I don't mean to minimize it. It's certainly important. But if you're a coach, if you're an AD, I think I already know your why. And what I like about your book is, yes, you do talk about the why, but you also go very deep into the what. Okay, what are you going to do now? So we want our listeners to go out and buy the book, but tell them a little bit, give them some examples of what is in the book so they can go out and become this transformational coach that, as athletic directors, we want our coaches to be.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, without actions, that why is really inactive, and we need to give action to that why and to really give it direction and focus. And so, like as an AD and as a coach, I want very practical steps to make sure that why is being lived out. For me, I show up for work every day to use the power of school activities to make the world a better place, and I get to do that working alongside others to fulfill that purpose. But how are we going to do that, right? And that's the key point, is that what are those actionable steps, and what will we do? And that's really what I outline in the book is all of those life skills that we can learn through sport if we intentionally capture the moment and opportunity to do it. And I think a lot of times that gets lost in the shuffle. If we're connected to a school system, which so many of us are, it only makes sense that we're going to be providing an educational outcome with it. That the participants, we know they want to show up to have fun, that they're going to have that enjoyable experience. They're going to do something they love doing. And that doesn't mean you're doing water balloon fights every day, but it means that you're providing that fulfilling, enriching, enjoyable, rewarding experience. They want to get better at something that they love to do. If you're going to put that much time and energy into something, you want to get better at it. And then that we're making better people, not just better athletes. And that's what this book is really all about. How we really forge and create those relationships, and how I can't think of a more significant job or a better job that has the opportunity to impact young people like coaching does. And that's what this is about, chasing the influence, not chasing wins, that we have an incredible opportunity each and every day to influence people for the rest of their life.
Now, as somebody who has skin in the game, you're an athletic director, at a school. What are some things that you have done as an athletic director with your coaches to help them maybe get over the hump, or in some cases even get started? That stereotypical, it can be a young coach or it can be that veteran that's just grinding old school. And what are some ways that you've helped them become transformational?
I always like to tell the story of, we learn from our own mistakes along the way. And I, um, I had an interview. I remember it vividly early on. I was applying, it was right out of college for me, and I was applying for teaching jobs and hoping to also have the opportunity to coach. And one of the interviewers asked, is it important for your students to like you? And I gave the 21, 22-year-old answer for Troy was, no, it's important that they respect me, right? Well, I think the respect piece certainly is significant and important. But what I know now is, yeah, absolutely. Any leader is going to be more effective if those they are leading like that leader, right? That there is a connection. What like means, right? Certainly part of that is respect, but you will perform better for those that you enjoy being around, and that's okay. But at the same time, upholding and maintaining those principles and those values that are most significant and important to you. And I think that's what we're able to do in coaching. That is sometimes harder to do in the classroom. Responsibility and accountability is a wonderful example of the how significant and important to a team being responsible and being accountable is. Where sometimes in the classroom that's harder for a teacher to have that ability. And we know that today's athletes want coaches who are approachable. The data will show this time and time again. They want coaches who are approachable, who are motivating and encouraging, and who are competent. And so when working with that young coach, it's that relationships do matter, and that they have a wonderful opportunity for the rest of that student's life to positively impact them in ways that will last far beyond tomorrow's game or whatever it may be. Systems we have in place in part that help produce this book. We'll do weekly lessons with all of our student athletes where we talk about certain character traits and have a meaningful conversation about how it applies to their sport, to being a great teammate in them and their lives.
Yeah, I love the way you led into that about, do you want your students to like you, or do they have to like you? I'm a little bit older than you, and I remember the very first coaching clinic I went to straight out of college, 1980. And there, how old I am. And the one coach, the first speaker, got up and kind of touched on that. They don't have to like you, but they got to respect you. And very successful coach. The very next speaker came up and alluded to it. Hey, Coach Smith, he does a great job, blah, blah, blah. But he's right. They don't have to like you, but it helps. And kind of for 1980s was talking about this whole idea about building relationships and things that, as an athlete, I love my coaches, but, they didn't worry about the relationship. But because they did some good things, that relationship was there. Very cool. From a student athlete perspective, again, very successful coach. And again, when we say success, we mean it in all those ways. But what are some things that you have seen in your coaching career? And we all are on that journey. We are that brand new coach that I like to say for myself. I was a head coach when I was 24. You don't know what you don't know. That was certainly me. But on your coaching journey, what are some things that you have seen positive results by being transformational with some of the teams and athletes that you have coached versus young Troy that was just looking for respect?
I think it's most visible in the relationships I now have with graduates. And I'm sure you've had similar experiences where it's hard to think of something more rewarding and gratifying than making those connections or just catching up with a former athlete, or that random text message out of the blue, or the random phone call out of the blue, and being a part of their lives well beyond just their time in high school or their time on your team. I think that's probably the greatest evidence of, yeah, I'm a competitive person, and I know that I coach a lot of competitors who want to do well and want to win. If we show up, we want to do well, we want to win. But really, what's going to define us is that connection in the relationship that lasts well beyond that game and that season. And ultimately, what type of people that they go on to become and what types of coaches they go on to become. And I think that's one of the greatest, it can sometimes be a sobering thought for all of us as coaches is we're coaching the next generation of coaches. And so whatever we're doing, whatever we're modeling, whatever we're saying is going to be repeated in 5, 10, 15 years from now. And is that what we want to be repeated? Do we want that to be said again? Do we want that action to happen again? And so to be mindful of that in our coaching, that we're really training that next generation of coaches.
Yeah, I get goosebumps thinking about it. I'm sure you've had this similar experience. In Florida, we have spring football, and it was always our tradition when I was a head football coach. The seniors who were no longer, going to be playing would very often come out and they'd want to help. And to hear, those players that you had for 3 or 4 years, in some cases, coaching the kids and using the same coaching cues, instructional as well as encouraging cues. One of my favorites was, come on, you can do better than that. I've seen you do it. To hear that 17-year-old kid saying that to a ninth grader, just so much fun. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the book again. And again, we're not going to sell the book, or we're not going to give them the book today. We want them to go buy the book. But looking back at the book now that it's out, is there anything that you wish you would have put in, like a next chapter or a next paragraph? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but I know with the books that, I've been a part of, I see a chapter and I go, I should have said that. Okay. Anything like that come to mind for you?
It's funny you ask, because just this morning I was thinking you get these small thoughts along the way, like I need to start a tickler file. So far, thankfully, I haven't found any of those, and none of the readers they've been kind enough not to tell me about any typos, right? Because, going through the process, you continue to tinker and continue to wordsmith up until the day that book is published. And I did that. I did exactly that. At that point, I had a pretty nice, clean break. And it's been a real nice mental break for me, because you put your everything. It's a lot like coaching, actually. You put your everything into it. And in this case, it's kind of like winning that last game. Like the hay's in the barn, the product is there, and it's something that I'm really proud of. I don't know if there'll be a second book or if there'll be another chapter. I'm always open to the idea. I didn't expect to write that first book until I got, I got quarantined and I had some time and I needed to be productive. And I know I speak to coaches when I say that, the idea of just sitting in a place for 5 or 10 days by yourself. And if I was going to do it, I was going to be productive. And so I think I'm really happy with where this first one came out. I'm sure along the way there's going to be, okay, yep, I would have done this differently. But who knows if there'll be any revisions or a second book. Right now, I'm really happy with how Chasing Influence turned out.
Oh, no, absolutely. And again, listeners, this is something you really need to put on your desk, have it handy. It's a great read for you as a leader. It's also a great read for your coaches. Let's go and tell them how to get it. Again, the name of the book, Chasing Influence, Transformational Coaching to Build Champions for Life. Dr. Troy Urdahl is the author. Troy, how do they get the book? And how do they reach out and pick your brain a little bit if they want to find out more how you do things at St. Anthony Village High School?
And that's maybe been the most exciting part of all of this, is hearing from readers and hearing from other coaches and administrators who have questions or ideas. I think that's been the most rewarding part of the process. The easiest and best way to find the book is on Amazon. It's available in a hardcover, soft cover, and in a Kindle version. So whatever your preferred method is, it's available on Amazon. And then chasing-influence.com. So www.chasing-influence.com is a free newsletter I put together with weekly lessons and leadership tips and ideas. I love quotes. If you would like quotes, the book is filled with quotes. I even put together and this is available on the webpage, I even put together a discussion guide. And so if you as a leader or you as a coach wish to lead a book club or a book discussion with your athletes or with your fellow coaches, that's available for free on the webpage along with the newsletter. And that's www.chasing-influence.com.
Okay. Dr. Troy Urdahl, Chasing Influence is the book. St. Anthony Village High School in Minnesota. Are you going to be down in Orlando for the national conference?
I absolutely am. Yep.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. You and I will definitely connect. Listeners, make sure you reach out. Reach out to both of us. We'd love to say hi. Thanks so much for being on Tech Tuesday, and all the best moving forward with your teams.
Thank you.
For listeners, we do this every single week, and of course, we appreciate you tuning in. We also upload the Zoom recordings to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. Come back next Tuesday for another great tech tip, and just about every day for new content on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Wow, great episode. A lot of fun with that one. Make sure you check out the book. And make sure you check out Troy and Jake Von Sheer at the national conference. One more time, that book is Chasing Influence, Transformational Coaching to Build Champions for Life. Before we go, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors one more time. Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. At my school, we use surveys for just about everything. You should be using them too. Go to athleticsurveys.com for more information. Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle. As an AD, we were a Huddle school. Go to huddle.com for more information. Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. The FIAAA uses a Vital Signs Wall of Fame console for our organization's Hall of Fame. You should be using it too. vitalsignswalloffame.com. Snap Mobile is the home company for Snap Raise, the best fundraising platform out there. We used it at our school with great success. Parents loved it, coaches loved it, and it works. Okay. They even have a program where they'll give you your money before you actually start your fundraiser. Nobody else does that. Snapraise.com. I want to say thanks to Gipper. If you're not on social media promoting your teams and your kids and your program, you're really missing out, because that's where the kids are. Go to Gipper.com. Their team will show you how to create world-class content for your school social media channel. We want to thank Home Campus. As an athletic director, I used Home Campus every single day, and it was just fantastic. Go to homecampus.com to get started. Sideline Interactive. You heard me say before, getting a Sideline Interactive indoor score table is probably one of the best purchases I ever got as an AD. Return on investment out the roof. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Check out their great products. And Hometown Ticketing. It's the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Do I need to say anything more? Go to hometownticketing.com to get started. Thanks again for listening to Tech Tuesday. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.